In tonight in Chicago, where National Guard troops are mobilizing on the outskirts of that city. The governor of the state of Illinois does not want them there, nor does the mayor of Chicago. The president of the United States today called for those two men to be jailed. Quote, Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also. And on a day when Trump's former FBI director was being arraigned in a Virginia courthouse, talk like this should probably be taken quite seriously.
These leaders in these local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson, ignore what's going on, or, sir, they're helping Antifa cover it up.
I think actually they're petrified. You know, their families live there, everything else. I actually think they're scared. Pritzker was a failure in his family. They threw him out of the family business. Guy's a loser. But you know what? They actually, I believe they're scared. They're actually frightened for their lives.
For his part, Governor Pritzker does not appear to be petrified.
This is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who's threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
That kind of posture from the governor is pretty important at a time like this, because this is all happening just a week after the president of the United States assembled the 800 highest-ranking commanders of the U.S. Armed Forces and told them to be prepared to fight the enemy within.
We should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city. It's the enemy from within, and we have to handle it before it gets out of control.
What we've been seeing in Chicago already from ICE and other federal agents sure does look like an extension of that project. It feels like an attempted federal occupation, with images like this shared by a reporter with the Chicago Tribune of a federal agent pointing a weapon out of a car window at a woman who was filming them. Last Friday, we saw folks in a residential neighborhood, in the middle of the day, bright sunshine, get tear gassed. The chemical agent was used just a block away from an elementary school during a school day. Across social media, there is video after video after video of people being detained, often violently by federal agents, while onlookers yell at them. Like this video on your screen of Border Patrol trying to forcibly restrain a man while onlookers attempt to intervene. In one instance, a Democratic congressional candidate was violently thrown to the ground by ICE. You see that there? For exercising her constitutional right to protest the agency's presence in her city. Just last month, a pastor was shot in the head with what appears to be a kind of pepper ball projectile while speaking outside an ICE detention facility in the Chicago suburb of Broadview. I want to warn you, some viewers may find the video of that incident upsetting. The Department of Homeland Security says those, quote, agitators were blocking an ICE vehicle and throwing bottles. In his own words, that man, Reverend David Black, said, quote, I told them there was still time to repent, believe the good news, and turn from their wicked ways. That's when they opened fire. And again, this is all just the beginning. Today, NBC News is reporting the White House is now holding serious discussions about invoking the Insurrection Act of 1807, a law that the White House believes would allow Trump to marshal federal troops to act as law enforcement agents in our cities without nearly as many legal constraints over how those troops could operate. It would be, I think, akin to a kind of declaration of war against the people of this country with no actual legitimate justification. There is no insurrection. One person close to the White House telling NBC the debate over the Insurrection Act is working its way up an escalatory ladder. What we are seeing in Chicago sure looks like the opening move in a larger vision for this country, where the leader consolidates power to harness state, local, and federal police in cooperation with the U.S. military, which is trained to defend America from foreign threats and instead unleashes them against Americans.
I see the guns and bats in this room. You are unleashed. The handcuffs that you're carrying, they're not on you anymore. They're on the criminals. And whatever you need to get it done, we're going to get it done. State, local, federal, on President Trump's promise, we are going to get it done.
The pretext in all of this has been fighting criminals. But Stephen Miller and Donald Trump want to treat Americans who do not support their agenda like enemies, like people the U.S. is engaged in war against. And I've got to say, the response we're seeing against that vision in cities like Chicago is really actually inspiring, emboldening. I mean, despite being far less willing to weigh into American politics than his predecessor, the new Pope, Pope Leo, who is from Chicago, is calling out Trump's overreach. In remarks to bishops visiting him at the Vatican today, the Holy Father urged them to use the pulpit to speak out against Trump's draconian immigration policies. This administration has decisively lost the moral high ground on this issue. People at a deep level understand that what they are seeing in Chicago is wrong. They know that they are free citizens of a free country that we spent hundreds of years at trying to achieve and perfect. They know they have a right to film ICE and even to peacefully, verbally challenge ICE. They have a right to protest, to stand outside detention centers, to try and shame people that are committing what they believe to be grave injustices. And the fact that they are continuing to do that, even in the face of this onslaught, is a testament to the fact that Americans will not be intimidated. Just like a certain Chicago delivery cyclist outmaneuvered ICE last week.
What's that?
Jacob Soboroff is MSNBC's senior national political and national correspondent. He joins me live from Chicago, not far from where that footage was taken. Jacob, what's going on there tonight?
Chris, this is amazing. I was just thinking this was almost exactly 4 months to the day that you and I talked on the streets of LA after that first raid in downtown Los Angeles brought hundreds, if not thousands, of people to the streets. It feels like deja vu. And I say that because this is a jubilant atmosphere. These are people who do not and will not tolerate federal troops, whether they are highly kitted up Border Patrol agents or members of the National Guard on the streets of Chicago. You know this better than anybody. Tonight is a critical playoff game for the Chicago Cubs. A lot of these people could be doing something else, sitting in a bar watching television. They're out here because most of them say they're here to protect democracy. I've not seen anything like this in Chicago. I spent a lot of time here. You know, my wife's from here. Look at this. This is Michigan Avenue in the middle of downtown Chicago. Here, too, hundreds, if not thousands of people. And it's not a feeling of anger. It is not a feeling of terror, which is being felt in much of the other parts of this city and of the Chicagoland area, where they're indiscriminately going around picking up people, not who are violent criminals or the worst of the worst, but I'll give you two examples that I saw myself. A 53-year-old mother going to pick up meat to make a stew from Mexico who has been here for 30 years.
Wow.
And is now in the Broadview ICE Detention Center. Another one is two gentlemen who are on their way to work as mechanics, literally going to pick up a cup of coffee in Cicero, 90% Hispanic, 90,000 people there, the most Hispanic neighborhood in all of Illinois. And Border Patrol rolled up on them. Literally, the guys left their coffee cups there. They detained both of those guys. One of them's already in Georgia on his way to being deported. There, they're angry. There, they're terrified. Here, the energy is it's electric.
Jacob Soboroff bringing us that live dispatch from Michigan Avenue tonight. Jacob, it's so good to have you there. Keep up with us. Thank you.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Wakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well and taught me this truth. Peace, blessings, salutations, and mercies to the elect and the 1/3 remnant out there listening and doing this word with all faith and sincerity scattered through the four corners of the earth. To you, I say shalom, Lord willing. This video is edifying. It's going to be sent around that video that you should have seen attached to this video. And I'm not going to make this too long because that was like an 8-minute clip. So I just want to add my thoughts and a few scriptures. You know, in this day and age, we've never seen so much strife amongst Americans, right? Usually when the election happens and a president is elected and all that other stuff, there's always propaganda and, smearing campaigns and, different ad pieces, throwing low blows at the other candidate and, but whenever someone's elected, it seems to blow over usually, Usually you don't see all of what we're seeing now. Usually it kind of dies down, the sides concede, right? And more or less they coexist. But in this case, in Nero's second presidency, we're not seeing that cohesive effort to cool things down. In fact, it's more like flames are being fed by with gas and grease, like there's a fanner somewhere just continuing to build up this flame, and it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai that this is happening, right? He calling members of his own union or presidents, governors of members of his own union losers, right? Talking about taking them to jail, and then the other, the governor is throwing shots back at Trump. People are protesting, pastors getting shot in the head, with pellet guns and rubber bullets. What the fuck is going on in America? I'll tell you what. It's demise. It's destruction is at hand, and we witnessing it in 4K, right? Live. And it's a beautiful sight to see. So call Allah Yahweh Shema Shai for us being alive in the spirit during this time, right? Because it's amazing to see this. It's, been a long time coming. Our deliverance is nigh. Okay? This is Matthew 12:26. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then shall his kingdom stand? See? Matter of fact, let me start at 25. This is, and Yahweh Shai knew their thoughts. Matthew 12:25. And Yahweh Shai knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? It's not going to stand. Okay, because they're going at each other. They're going to cause the house to collapse. It's going to implode, right? And it's going to be an implosion, upon, catastrophic proportion, right? That in the likes of which the world has never, ever seen. Because this is going to bring the world down with it. This implosion is going to be felt all throughout the earth. And it's happening right now. And that civil war that is, you can't even say looming no more. We're in the midst of it. If you watch that movie, Civil War, it kind of hinted on or kind of showed how a legitimate civil war would take place in America. And, it was kind of like pockets of normalcy in certain places, right? People were still carrying on or attempting to carry on with their day-to-day life. And then, just in another city, a couple miles on out, it's a full-fledged war band fought, right? But it was a lot of people who were pretty much living like, nothing was even happening, right? But of course, an economic crash is going to come with that as well, right? Because the dollar is pegged, or the U.S. currency is pegged to the global reserve currency, right? It is the global reserve currency, So it's going to be felt, right, in ways in which are unprecedented. This is Isaiah 19:2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom, right? So we're witnessing that fight take place. Okay, we're watching it. There was a small montage of different places that these battles are happening, and they're going to continue to escalate. Okay, it's only going up from here because both of these, both of these factions are very proud. Okay, and that's what's going to bring its destruction. As the as the old tale goes, man. Right. Verse 3, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards, right? They're going to be seeking. They're going to be going, looking for the cure for this place, man. Right? And that's why Neuro, through the spirit, ran on this ingenious slogan, make America great again. Right? Because that was the spirit these people was in. They were seeking a revival of what they formerly had. But guess what? This is going to bring absolute tyranny and destruction to this place. Right? Verse 4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah of hosts. And as, Apostle Tahar says, right, as he goes into often, Nero is that cruel Lord, man. And he's showing himself to be. Okay. And it's only going to intensify, and his wickedness is only going to magnify. Okay. Get it in this.
From classics you loved as a kid.
Oh no, I think it's wait, let's see if it's here. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and 15 in the GNTA, the Good News Translation. The war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. And we're seeing that military buildup right throughout the world in these regions that never really prioritized military like that, right? They're now starting to build up. You know, when you look around, that's all you see. Prime example, North Korea, right? I think they're the newest nation to have or develop or come out on papers to be a nuclear capable nation, right? But of course, we know it's more than that. Okay, Iran, didn't they just bomb them for their possible ability to create weapons of mass destruction, right? So we're witnessing that. And they're not making them for no reason. They're going to use them, right? On America. Verse 16, there will be great political turmoil and one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. That's a civil war. Okay? That's really anarchy. Okay? Beautiful, man. And we're witnessing that. We're witnessing these scriptures literally play out in real time. So, with that, I want to give all praise and the glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, Wa, Abba, Babal, and DTA.